当个多节节节日算着，现节么都对家帮着把事节龙波大不了节不个小节节不要当个啥，多节节节的了那着大，嘛把么了节节干不把，把么着把叫按着光把，感觉了嘛能节大就。当然的，这啦，咱们就得了嘛，老不老也就是从老张用的讲这个了。电这东西这把给了做，真是早把老妈姐姐个双都就想了，大概去了本，大概等把当孙姐姐东家肩膀着把心结老多说。他刚了个不去觉得找着吧，等你他马上就三个内陆的我去，啊，国家个去的都三难用个有嘞。等你他三个内陆的哈国什么呢？都三的直接的帮有个呗是那帮个有嘛嘞。看是那的说说，就当说说让你个内测了哈国个哇。说说给你们的多把给这儿用做的有呢，等你打出什么家国呀？有嘛了哇？我的那引起他说说个什么东巴多什么呢？等你出什么家么个什么东的？
So we have now completed the 10 necessary things for a Dharma practitioner, and then the next section are the 10 unnecessary things. So the first one says, if the mind itself is realized to be empty, hearing and reflection of Dharma are no longer necessary. So an alternate translation is, when you realize directly that your mind is empty, hearing and contemplation become unnecessary. So the reason for engaging in extensive study and contemplation or hearing and reflection is with the objective to realize the true nature of one's own mind. So if the true nature of mind is realized, then it is not so necessary to continue putting one's efforts towards study and contemplation. However, if one sort of thinks, oh, if I have some level of understanding of the true nature of my own mind, so therefore I will, I can abandon hearing and reflection or study and contemplation. No, that's not. It's really, brought experience and realization to like full perfection. Hearing and contemplation are no longer so necessary. But until that point, they are very necessary. If one having a fault, ultimately, one errors in practice. However, the understanding of the true essence or the emptiness of one's own mind is fully understood, then it is like the example of a boat being used to cross a great lake or ocean, so that hearing, the activities of hearing and reflection are like the boat that is used to get across the ocean. But once one gets to the other shore, once one has crossed the great lake or the sea, then one doesn't need to drag the boat, ashore and then carry it with one once one is on dry land. So in the same way, once one has really fully realized the empty nature of one's own mind, it's just no longer useful or necessary to put one's efforts towards study and contemplation.
Kantar Rigba Kurang Jungola, Temeku Manyomba, Rigbaranji, Kantar, Usarwa, Jamata Java, Tandacha the Yudu, that thing no she in Bayana, Teni, that Dipa Young Muguson. Take a touch on Dipa Chicho Seminary, Tijin Simare. Tengo hipersibalo susu diba jango yoruba. Teni te ngo hi wa te susu ge diba ta draba jang jang yu pa ta rwa. Tena yinza teni ta tela panza ta panzi ta trawa cha de yu zang. Teni mix diba ta draba sin chi de ming ne teni jango yang ro yo mari song.
So then number 2 says, if the awareness is recognized to be uncontaminated and pure, the purification of wrongdoing is unnecessary for a practitioner. Or when you abide in the ultimate natural path, the intentional gathering of accumulations. Oh, no, sorry, that's the wrong one. When you recognize your awareness to be stainless, it is no longer necessary to purify wrongdoing. When one is really at a developed stage of meditation, then one realizes the true nature of one's own awareness as the uncontrived sort of stainless purity. And it is that essence, the true essence of awareness, which has never been touched or never been stained by defilement. So if one experiences that, if one abides within the ongoing recognition of the clear light luminosity of the true nature that is without any stain or defilement, then there's no need to make effort in purifying the relative level efforts to apply kind of doing or negativity. Obviously, that is not the case. In fact, if one naturally has a completely pure ethical conduct, then this is a sign purified one that the diminishment or purification of obscurations. So then, when the obscurations have been fully purified, and one realizes the stainless nature, that experience itself transcends that which something to abandon and one who is abandoning. It is beyond the duality. It is completely free of the dualistic fixation of something to be purified or something to be abandoned.
Normal lam na ne na chosa maguso. The normal lam te kar kiwa machupa tingang na ne pa ina. Tene chosa go chosa driba jangwa siba chosa wat so go yo mari sonre.
So it says, if one abides, number 3, if one abides by the natural path, the accumulation of gathering is needless for a practitioner. Or when you abide in the ultimate natural path, the intentional gathering of accumulations becomes unnecessary. So it is meant by the natural path. This is referring to the awareness, which is completely uncontrived. So when one abides within the awareness that is completely uncontrived, there is no need to make an effort in gathering the accumulations.
Yibate nyumangang la jona ma de chaja chimborwa. Tingang de jong tingang la yona teni de ngang jong je de wa ina. Teni de tablan na ge tablan chod je ba de cha de yore so. Yinda ge ngang so tab mambo tingo ya yo mari son re. Nyumangang de jong wa ina. Ngang so la tara nyumangang de jong ya la kable yorwa. tambo chong hi yo mare de la deni tablan chik ting go yore deni chong dang hi ne yang bepzung jin ma ma tun chong topa yo mara yang de la yang tablan chik ting go yore o deni da so so lo je nyu ma ngang de la chu ge jun yin de chu ge jun yin de ma chong topa yin na deni tablan sin mi sa ting go ya yo mare so
So then number 4 says, if one cultivates the natural state of mind, it is needless for a practitioner to reflect on the path of method. Or an alternate reading is, once one abides sustaining the recognition of the natural state, it becomes unnecessary to meditate utilizing the path of method or on the path of method. And so if one is able to rest within the realization of Mahamudra, then it is, and that ability to rest is sustained as an unbroken continuity, then the path of methods become unnecessary because that itself is the supreme method. And really all of the various methods, the path of method is actually intended for that purpose, to stabilize the realization of Mahamudra. So prior to getting to that point of stabilization, one has to rely on the variety of different methods. To once that recognition has been sustained, then really it is pointless to make a concerted effort in practicing method through effort, to sustain. Actually, it can't. Until one is able to sustain the recognition, then it is necessary to make effort. But once the recognition is sustained, when it becomes like the continuous flow of a river, then there really is no method to rely on. That itself is the recognition itself is the practice.
Nga ba de namdo chuni de hina modo ba gom gu so andere ngaran so ke modo ba gon de namdo sor de yan gom gu yore ti jimsin ke modo ba to ba tim ji ba yin ya ya namdo de lan ya dang yong gu yore 다 남도 코랑 뭐도 바니 다 고송아이나 양의 춘이 다 고송아이나 다 딜러스 저바 뭐도 바서 gond어야 제요 말이서 남시만 통이 신통 수만아 인就是말아래 박
So then number 5 says, if one recognizes the nature of thoughts to be dharmata, it is needless. Okay, let's do the alternate translation. When you recognize thoughts as dharmata, it is no longer necessary to meditate on non-thought or the absence of thoughts. When one gets to the point where where one recognizes the nature of the thoughts themselves to be that of the intrinsic essence, then there's no need to actively try to establish a meditative state of non-thought or non-conceptual meditative state. So for instance, if one spends a time meditating in states that are absent of thoughts or or a state of non-thought. And there's still sort of like this duality in the meditation where thoughts are seen as undesirable. Then eventually the thoughts will arise again, not like one can maintain like a constant state of non-thought. But on the contrary, when thoughts themselves are understood, meditative states of non-thought or states in which they're, and so this is what Milarepa refers to when he says,
Korang tena chi ranjong to yo de ba che maris ko lower che chong yong ba che ris nyumo ba korang ngo yang pena hedang ngo de melong yi yin ba na yin ke yimi zawa tar ba cha de yo ba ris yi korang nyumo ba cha yo maris ta ta ya Nima ke nang ti nang chuk ma hirwa so then yimi nang ti nang chuk ma hirwa nang wa ngarang chul nang wa yu nang dang de kare sina ko yimi zawa trawa ne so yi do gantara da nyumu ba la ya tamje ke ko zawa korang ke dung over to nyumu ba ma yin ba yi hi krang yin ba te ta ba ko so ina ta nyumu ba de ni bo ting go yo maris te ta ta ha ma na te ni nyumu la nyumu ba la ni bo ma ti na nyumu ba ka nga te ge yo ba
So then number 6 says, if the roots of the defilements or kleshas are recognized to be rootless, it is needless for a practitioner to rely on their remedies. Or another version would be, when the mental afflictions are recognized to be without any root, it is no longer necessary to apply antidotes. The root or the ground basis of awareness is the Tathagata Garbha, the Buddha nature. The afflictive emotions themselves are just temporary. They don't actually have any root, so therefore they are rootless. The afflictive emotions are not a product of that Buddha nature. They are incidental or adventitious or temporary. So, for instance, the essence of the afflictive emotions are the nature of wisdom, is the nature of wisdom. So the affliction of anger is actually in its true essence the display of mirror-like wisdom. And so when the afflictions are seen to be as they really are, which is rootless, free of any real root, or groundless or without any root. It's like the Nyingma master Mipam Gyamso, Gyamso or Gyamso?
Gyamso.
Gyamso has said, phenomena can appear.
Now I take not down the carriers na ko ranking the mother but Jim Sing Nang Yong is that then what you know.
So appearances can appear because they are without any root, because they are groundless. Meaning because they lack true nature, because appearances themselves are empty of any substantial nature. It is by the very due to the very fact of that they are able to function, or that they appear, that the phenomena of appearances is capable of occurring. And so when this rootless nature is understood, then afflictive emotions are experienced as wisdom, as primordial wisdom. So once that is understood, there is no need to rely upon antidotes. However, until that is understood, it is really necessary to rely on antidotes. If one doesn't rely on antidotes, then the afflictive emotions will give us a great suffering.
Kanda tarat nandong tere. Ngaran su mi hi sepo ji jan kanre la tawa ina sepo nangrwa. Ina kanre sepo rwes na marewa. Tena yi. Ngaran su lon chor yung bakab che truba nango rima to ke tongla nyomo bala ya je yo maris. Ko yi hi gran yi ra.
So it's like this. So it is, for instance, like this. If we're wearing yellow tinted glasses, the world appears yellow to us. But actually, the world is not really yellow. It's just that we're seeing it through these yellow lenses. So it appears to us as yellow, but actually in reality, it's not really yellow. And so this is exactly how it is with the phenomena of our own delusion. Things to appear to us in a certain way because we're seeing them through the lens of delusion. But actually, so for instance, we experience the afflictive emotions as afflictive emotions. But in reality, they're not actually afflictive emotions, they're actually wisdom. So if we were seeing without the lens of our delusion, we would see them as they actually are, as the display of the natural display of wisdom. And this, we would see anger, for instance, as what it really is, mirror like wisdom.
Kanre lai bange kanre because saja lavna saja kahi sepori de yora.
Oh, sorry. He didn't say the world. He said if we're looking at a snow mountain. Yeah, so if we're looking at a snow mountain with yellow glasses on, the snow mountain appears as yellow.
Teni dumbat nanda jumar hina gadap sama gusang. Nandari Tapu Nangola Nawa Tangela Trapa Tangena Tinto Tamjetini Namdo Tanju Chujuka Tetabachi Hakoswaina, that got up the cheese to Achio Marwa. Madapa Nangola Pena Keja Nimbo Jikono, Page Keja Yabos, it's a drug. Six of the Keja Manduba Jacoin, oh, Keja Dukjasi Pagaki or got up stera. There, Tarak and Nandar Sunk net set the Lepsona, that got up into Yachio Mara. Daya boy Naya, Nagran Giri, Dramini by Nagran Giris.
So then number 7 says, if appearances and sounds are recognized as illusory, it is needless for a practitioner to rely on remedies for them. So an alternate reading would be, when appearances and sounds are known to be illusory, it is not necessary to engage in accepting or rejecting. From the often we speak of, for instance, all appearances being the pure appearances of the deity, all sounds being the resonance of mantra, and all thoughts as being the nature of Dharmakaya. And so in that case, then there is nothing in that, and when the phenomenal realm is experienced in this way, there is nothing to accept or reject. Everything is equally the nature of purity. But when we are, when our experience is one of delusion, then with being subject to pure and impure, then and good and bad. When we hear, for instance, pleasant sounds, or we hear things that are pleasant, then we react to them with joy or delight. And when we hear negative things, like some harsh words, then we reject them, or we react with aversion. But actually, when all sounds are understood to be the nature of mantra, whether they are good sounds or pleasant sounds or negative sounds or unpleasant sounds, they are equally the nature of mantra. And so therefore, there's nothing to accept or reject.
Teni jebat dungar ngudrup de hina dewa tsarmuk. Nan de jarsengur che tomi ke sumbare nana nate navega ngarsa jelengin zepayin songdo. Tan de na yin ke jin parche ta natsa la sopa jondu ta chewa ngama ke lese jepana mi ris tambo. Tanasam niba la o tangala tara natsa de lula natsa de tawachi johnson deke ma nangka tanya be simjin tamji ke nago tsago chuhyo samnya ke jancho ke sem rumboche ya susu ke jun ya je ta tanda johnson wa ina te talam jerwa teni da susu ke te churjur ne perna natsa lazo batanya ngudub sir suso gu journey pena nga ga kapsu ta pena ngarang so natsa lam de chirwa la bando natsa lam chirji ne o ta te ta be ji na ta dewa tsar go mare tarang dewa ri de yori song do ta nda so nyamni ha jang ge chen thom bo ke ta nda so jen ro ta nda chapsang de ro ngarang so ta thama ba ke ji le la bo ke lalin tar thop se kha ro mandok de yin ya nga zo ke te de lalin tar thwa ina tin tin ke te ta yung ju yu ba je ta da ke ne.
So then number 8 says, if suffering is recognized to be the replica of siddhi, it is needless for the practitioner to look for pleasure. So an alternate reading would be, when suffering is understood to be siddhi, it is unnecessary to search for happiness. So as for instance, in the prayer by Gyaltse Muchu Togme, when we say, if I get sick, let me...
37 Bodhisattva, well, Bodhisattva, Zamkiwa, yeah.
He's the same author who composed the 37 Bodhisattva practices. And in the prayer, it says, if I get sick, so be it, I get sick. Let me be sick and I'll be happy. And so this is an example of bringing adverse conditions and obstacles onto the path, recognizing them to be the fully ripened result of former actions. And so if we are sick, for instance, if physically we experience like the physical illness of the body, there's also the the method of bringing such suffering onto the path by using it as a way to generate bodhicitta. So thinking about using one's own experience of suffering and thinking about the suffering of all sentient beings. So being able to identify or empathize with the pain and suffering of all beings, and then having the aspiration to actually, purify the illness of all beings through the experience of one's own suffering. Or there is the, act of bringing on the suffering of sentient beings to oneself in order to relieve the pain and suffering of all beings. And so this is one method of working with obstacles and conditions of suffering such as illness. And then there's also the experience of adverse circumstances such as illness actually ripening as a siddhi in such a way that it is actually the experience of illness itself is one of bliss that is actually blissful, that it is actually whatever it is that ripens as experienced is the nature of bliss and emptiness. And so therefore there is no need to look for happiness, because everything is the nature of bliss. And so of course, it is
ko ke opposite ndo gare cha de yorsina na cha de chur ko yong ba na wo cha de yor tenda yin za ngo na ha yu de nga ngo na song san je wa de mo zo ne ngo na ndo ya de ga rang chur wa kurang kala pa ya yu ji na chur mli pa ma ka ro wa chur wa de ga na cha ngo na ya de cha ma song ba yin na ya chur wa de le sang tu ko yor is
Dewa la gyur chogare tugare tigi tunda
dewa gyur da kongo na ya mina dewa ro ne
so de chorwa de
chowa dewa cha de yora chowa dongha ma ina chowa dewa cha de yora
okay
chowa ta nyam de dewa chimbo cha de yor da ngom kana
So for instance, when we speak of transformation in the context of secret mantra, so ordinarily, if we have a painful feeling like a headache, then the pain, the reaction to the pain is one that is based on the concept of self, and we think, I have a headache and I need to get rid of this pain. So what we wish for, our hope is for the pain to go away, for us to be free from the experience of this pain. And so that hope is based on self-grasping. It's a hope of it's a self that stems from self-grasping. But for like a Mantrayana practitioner, it's the opposite. Actually, when some sort of physical pain presents itself, then it's really embraced to bring it on, to really bring it on. And then by actually sitting with the feeling of the pain, by not doing anything to get rid of it, to reject or deny it, and one just goes, the feeling actually becomes liberated through that, and the feeling then becomes the nature of bliss. It actually becomes the experience of bliss, the great bliss of equanimity. And so he said before, this kind of experience is really a very high level of experience, and so it's not so easy for us as beginners really to be able to relate to it, or to actually maybe to practice in this way is difficult, but we can at least sort of make an effort in that direction.
내 절단게 용도 요래 나서 빼나 기당 직진도 맞을 기당 지나 콜카테라고 지자 누라고 지지 당 드닝 악삼발 당아 톱송 상거라 다 dimate tang kola trobo tromo mambo yo to so chama so so le maga ba chang ko yo ta dramang do so ta nga ma chil hedang lang do yo na te du nga ke hedang ngo te la ta nga rang ke hedang te pha chom thaba ina ta hi hedang lang do so ma te jik jin so so ko trobo cha de yo re jik jin te ke trobo tromo tham je so so trobo tromo cha ng ro te chir tang ching mu ne chon ro nga chu la lin tang rewa tang lalin in nor do yo matok rewa kare ngal dra mugo san ya de rewa ngarang se rewa ina lalin ton nga chu dra zo yong ko yora mare
So, for instance, with any affliction, really, if, for instance, I give rise to anger, and then my hope is actually to be free, my objective is to get rid of my enemies, to be without an enemy. And so then maybe the way that one typically, or people typically deal with this is then, out of great anger, they tell off their enemies, or they do something, to defeat their enemy. But actually then when anger has gotten the best of you, then it ends up always kind of coming back to sort of make your situation worse. So for instance, as a result of your display of anger, you might alienate more people, like actually your friends, your friends and companions actually kind of are alienated through your displays of anger. And then on the other hand, when something like strong anger arises, if we choose to sit with it and really look at its essence, then the anger doesn't get the best of us, and we don't, engage in some display of anger, and it can actually be the result can be actually that we actually end up becoming friends, that you become friends with your enemies, and so actually our hope, our objective in the case of anger is.
Tani ba shoba ya ni se ba da nyam de control sa sem ma de tin. Tani so so deng kedang je gom ro de kedang ke gom chin ba cha ne tani. Ab tambo chung chung gab zab zab ma ji. Tani ji ne ta te la gom sa den ta ji zab zab ji go tin na zab zab ji ma ta ba. Zab tani ta ji ne bet ko ne ran te yong do yang ga chu chu na. 차도 그때 요리 송도가 나 지와 스마 말이나 지와 치쳤던 다다 답답래 망보 용거 이런 거네 라는 차도 샘는 지와 섬지든 마지 바 용네
So if one has some situation that creates a lot of anger, and one can't seem to, in the moment that one wakes up in the morning, then that can even be the first thing that arises in one's mind. And if it really becomes something that afflicts one kind of continuously in this way, or over enough time with enough intensity, it can actually create a physical illness. It can become the cause for actually becoming sick, and it just really makes one miserable. And if in this way, then one is always kind of feeding one's anger, then one really starts to habituate this propensity for anger. Then it really becomes like a deeply established kind of propensity or habituation. It becomes a pretty strong imprint. And then even if one doesn't respond, by telling people off or with negative words, still then it becomes a kind of a really strong propensity in the mind. Or same with jealousy, eventually when we always sort of kind of entertain or follow after the jealousy that arises in the mind, then actually jealousy becomes more and more deeply established. We actually become habituated in a propensity for jealousy. And that is because we haven't addressed it when it was small. So if we're not really cautious to, when the affliction is small, or when it's not so developed, when it's not so strong, then once it becomes really developed or strong, even if we want to address it, even if we want to be cautious, we're actually at that point, it's kind of out of our control. We're not capable of actually taking control over it at that point. And so then once it really becomes developed, you see, like in many ordinary circumstances, that, then one isn't even capable of really feeling it as a fault. One doesn't actually think that there is anything wrong. One doesn't feel it as a fault. And at that point, for instance, one's jealousy has become so immense, like it's just like a mountain. It's just kind of like the complete feels completely solid. It's completely taken over one's mind. It completely colors one's experience. It becomes like an ocean. Really, jealousy is really frightening, actually, and it leads to all sorts of difficulties and suffering. It really is a cause for like really sort of frightening actions. And when we act on it in this way, then it creates causes that undoubtedly will ripen in future lives. And it creates not knowing, not understanding to think about future lives. One hasn't kept one's afflictions in check. And then there's a lot of suffering that ensues both in this life and in future lives.
So you don't lot so gone lot so pep show sir. Ngoma de ngaran so pa ya dang ko la na yin ro chi zo. Sir pep na ka pep go yer sem na la pep ne. Ting ngaran so ya dang ko la na yin zo go yer. Oh, da ga ya dang ko la na yin se be de ni be da cho na ba do da de ni de ji hi wa nyam da tin da ma yin ba sem ko rang ga nang ne. New mobile around Nam dollar around the data when you actually the Yadangula think yore, that the younger yoreda. That Rangarang get can't depend over here to Kayorite Lanin Tarde, Kalakabu Yorangan. In a Rewachik Chin here in the Koyora Naranga Senan Jek the Yonkos and Rewachik down, that they had the dark Tamla Mao by Ina, then the Tamlam de Kosumaina, then Nale Lakpak, Joran Zundia, Hirap Chewa Insan, then Lamsan Lalin Tane, then the Nayonsi Para, Munida. Mazok Jixam de Duck Nata Pen Chuti him with the Kohen and Sangi and Rogoti, the Radote, Chetang around the Tindang Dovori, the Marwa. Sanji jumped in there. La Dara Kornga de Zamboyoa Kornga de Zambanang Kor Jig de Sanji Jumdin de Gigiri Sanji Jumdin the Poo Poo Chunchong Caps and the Gigin Jena. Then it's just a conquer law marble and Sandrabanyam in Arwa. Yin a young Sanji Jumdin de Sang Jene Dimba Yi Chunker Tambo could Dini Dara the Tolam. 통랑 그거 당보 동kin데 공그 기긴데 차대요래. 오늘에 그 히랍 제정당 그 차서라. 곰 냠니 망아 공그 나요래 데 산지 그 기긴데. 이나 드니 공 진 산지 그 로마차 틴트라르네 공그 팔람 터리 파불람 터리 이나 산지 드니 다다 아카테스 망틀레
You know, when we do the generation system being thinking, you know, of it being, you know, in some externally existed place and coming to abide in our presence. But actually, where is it that we are invoking the wisdom being to arrive? We are actually inviting them into our own mind. And so that then we ourselves experience our own mind as the enlightened qualities of the Yidam deity. And then as the Yidam deity performs their enlightened activity, whether it be wrathful in nature or peaceful in nature, their enlightened activity is actually serving the function to allow us to take control over the afflictive emotions in our own mind stream. And so that is actually what is occurring in the practice of the Yidam deity. So of course, to speak of this is one thing, but then actually to engage in the practice in this way is not necessarily easy. It actually can be very difficult. But our hope, you know, is to actually be able to practice in this way. And Khenpo says his hope for us is that we will, you know, like he has the aspiration that we can practice in this way, that we will actually be able to apply the path of method even better than he can. So actually, you know, it's interesting. He said, you know, with him sitting there on the throne as the one who is giving us Dharma teachings, sometimes there's the thought that, oh, the teacher will attain enlightenment before the students. But actually, that's not necessarily the case. For instance, you just take the example of the Buddha's, you know, the first five, you know, the first five of his disciples, when he engaged in the turning of the first wheel of Dharma and taught the Four Noble Truths, among actually his own teacher who actually brought him to the first stage of awakening, but actually he wasn't fully developed in his realization, and ultimately he actually, you know, he started out as the Buddha's spiritual teacher and guide, but then he himself became a disciple of the Buddha.
All right, that good bad. Ransom Jimmy to Don Poa Jam goes on. That Poa sing around to Tara Shuho Tamjel Shin the Poa Jag Yorua. Poa Jago at the Kansina Perna Tapu Chungchong Rawaji in a Langan Roma in a Lamsupchigo, Tapu Chungchong Mari, Langan Roma Hisan Salam, Langatsop go your Ropachi go Yorua. 포화자야 로바치 그 요래다 저랑야 산직 사당 대화 진행하는 로야라. 근데 저랑 그 란섬지와 메바도 데킹지이나 근데 저랑은 로터 요라. 라왕 탑자를 셈. 근데 믹사 포화자고야 요 말이스.
So the mi shimba rang la poaja kengi korla la gyurbe. So rang poaja ba gi korla yosamare.
Mà per na nga ro ki chimi to do yo na nga thien de nga la mixa kan phwa jang ki che go yo mar ba nga rang ro the
so so then number 9 says, if one's own mind is realized to be unborn, it is needless to rely, actually it should say, I think, to rely on someone else, or to rely on someone to practice transference or poa for oneself. Generally, when one who goes through the process of dying, so it's sort of like there's when we rely on someone to practice POA, it's kind of like a function of someone guiding a small child who doesn't quite know the path well enough to travel the path themselves, and so they need some guidance, they need some assistance. The path, the child has to be led along the path in order to, and this is like the example of someone helping to guide our consciousness at the time of death to, the stages of attainment or rebirth and Dewa Chen. But once one has realized the unborn nature, then one has achieved complete freedom over an independence over one's own mind. And so therefore, there is no need to rely on someone else to guide one through the process of transference.
Lama Gewichi Nitsa Chimbo Tendra here in the Mixa, Tesola Poaja, Natana Zeke Yomarina Yang. The get up the band down Sosa and Chiki Yuri, the Jim Sinkansina, Helama Gilshin take the Salan La Parche Mayon Watan, Lapart took a young seat to Sopelna to Soke, young Timba the Simjin La Pintoyake, the Timder Zenare, the Telela Pintoya, Jordan Jornogrua, teach you to go song Yuri, the Jopanjitin Sungunk.
Ta yaboko chira yaboko masong. The lama gewishini garsi kongso chongna dini de poa cheju yu
za chimbo ke lama gewishini dana chongdu dini lama yimba ke la poa ja go yo marisi poa ja go yo mari ina yang tela chongdu de chopa mambon cho dompa mambon do chugewa mambo dogores jumsin kan sena Tilama teke Satalam Yadud Tini Parche Manjong Chitang Tini Yansi Turkasi Perumbaina Teke Rodum Jacher Royala Gupa Yoris Tenda use on the Jopanjitin Sungong Song Yoris.
However, so when, for instance, a great lama passes away, then there isn't any need for other lamas to practice POA for them. However, often the tradition is that there are great gatherings where many lamas and practitioners come together to do recitations and various practices to engage together in the accumulation of merit or in gathering the accumulations and practicing virtue. And the reason for this is to assist in, averting any obstacles to make, the aspiration or to that this great lama or practitioner, as they traverse through the stages and paths, that there won't be any obstacle that arises for them, or that when they return as a toku or yangsi, that then they will be able to
reincarnation.
Yeah, when they are reincarnated. When they are reincarnated, or when their reincarnation is found, that they may be able to accomplish the vast benefit of beings, that they will have really scope in their ability to establish.
Tini nekap kan sam tawai na yin la ropa che yin la pinto che de na tini soso la ran yin ke saya kunya chunchi ma bonzo yung go re ran yin ke
So then number 10 says, if every activity is dedicated for the practitioner to work for his own benefit. And this is really very true. Just as Seje Tsongkhapa has said, however vast one's activity to benefit others, then automatically one can benefit. And so this is really true. As one dedicates one's activities towards accomplishing the welfare and benefit of others, a greatest benefit. And then also temporarily, as one works to help and benefit, or automatically one creates the causes for generating abundance in one's own life, all that is needed with regard. That's all. So we can end here then for today.
May every being ailing with the disease be freed at once from every malady. May all the sickness that afflicts the living be instantly and permanently healed. Janjo sunjo rumbo je maji banan jijer jiba nyamba meba yang gondo bewa jo. May bodhicitta mind arise in whom it has not yet arising, where it has arising is higher and higher. Thank you very much.